Anything you want to say, babes?
I just want to say thank you very much to everyone that's out there fighting for me. Team that's come together, and the support has been amazing. I've got a table full of rock stars here that are all working tirelessly around the clock fighting for this cause with me. And I just want all you guys out there across the world to know that I'm going to justify your effort, and I'm going to come back stronger and bigger and badder. And once I get back on my feet, we're going to justify all this. Make sure that all you guys' efforts don't go unnoticed. We're going to come together and have a huge party.
Oh, sookie now. Ha ha. Hell yeah. I know my dogs are watching. And if you ain't, I know you will be. And if you are watching and you ain't my dog yet, you will be, because I'm Swede and it's my life's mission to help you get busy living. And tonight we are defining epic in our own get busy living style. What does that mean? Stay tuned. We're going to do all the things you could possibly ask for. But first, since nothing is worth having if it ain't worth sharing, please allow me to welcome a very special guest this week to our show. He's been on before. I wouldn't be here without him. Please help me welcome to the stage the number one dog on my top dog list, Scootie, the wolf Wells. But I'm not gonna do the trumpet. That's D-Rex. We miss you, babe. Scootie Wells, my man. Thank you for joining the Get This Living podcast.
It's truly a pleasure to be here. I know I'm kind of stepping in for D-Rex being out this week. Sorry, I'm not so good on the eyes or even talented on the mic as she is, but here I am in the flesh. I do know about Alaska, and I think that's what we're going to be talking about today. So let's do this.
I was just going to say, bro, she's a tough act to follow. She's definitely irreplaceable, but you're the man to know when it comes to knowing about Alaska. And so first, I want to say that if you are in the comment section, please speak up. This is an opportunity for you guys to ask swells about Alaska. If you have questions about the raffle that we're doing, we're going to go through trying to give you all the information you need to know about the raffle. But the comment section is especially special for us this episode, because it's your opportunity to ask questions. I know that growing up as a kid, I wasn't really aware of Alaska. To me, it was like this far off mystical place that was always cold and dark and it had lights at night. Like, I didn't know anything about Alaska. So, where I grew up, you dream about like Florida or, maybe Italy, and I was very into safari. So I wanted to go to Alaska or Africa too. But no, I personally hadn't had this idea of Alaska being this epic place. And then I meet the most epic man I've ever met. And then I've heard so much about Alaska since you and me became boys that it's seriously a pleasure and an honor and a privilege for me to be able to try to facilitate something like this for people to do this. So real quick, swells, if you could, let's just give the audience a little bit of a background about us, how we know each other, and what your life's been like a little bit.
Oh yeah, so we go back to 2011. I think it was May, to be precise. And I don't know how many stories you want from back then.
You've already told that story.
So let's get it moving. But we were good buddies hanging out pretty much every day all week.
Yeah, man.
You surprised me for my 30th birthday 10 years ago in Thailand.
Hell
with
yeah.
these nuts in Trevino. And, after Darren set himself on fire, it was you and me going around Thailand for 3 weeks. You really got your feet wet with the international backpacker scene at that point, and that kind of encouraged you, inspired you to get yourself busy living. And, Australia, New Zealand, Bali, and where you've been, but
let's pick up there real quick, Spells, because that's good. So yes, we have shown that background before. People have seen the surprising Scootie Wells video, and they've heard about the harbor and the very first moment we met and that type of thing. But what they might not know is that we do have more than just Thailand travel experience. Like we've been from that one end of this country to the other, as far as Key West to
to Canada,
to Seattle,
to the border.
Know, right?
So what people don't realize is we had plans. You had plans to go up to Alaska. You haven't been up there yet. And I said, yeah. But
Yeah.
you had plans in 2014, and I was going up there to move up there and bought a car just to travel up there and was going to sell it. And you said, "Hey, got an extra seat?" And I was like, "Absolutely." And we made it all the way. And then the border security, they thought we were running drugs.
Oh
And
my
we were like,
God.
"No." They put the dogs, were like, "Boys, this is the time. Like, you need
Step
to
out of the
tell
car,
us."
please.
Yeah, yeah. We're like, "No, seriously, there's no drugs in the car." And they were like, "Wow, wow, yeah, you're still not coming into our country, but
I can hear D-Rex saying right now, hold on, back up a little bit. So what happened was me and Scootie Wells attempted to drive 1/4 of the circumference of the earth. If you drive from Florida, where you're at, to Anchorage, Alaska, where Swells is from, it would have been around what we say, 6,000 miles or something like that, 7,000 miles of
yeah,
driving.
yeah, about
And
that."
the earth is 25,000 miles around. So we were about to do 1/4 of the earth in one epic adventure. And we were actually hanging out in Seattle the night before. And the bartender was like, "You guys ain't going there. You're not going to make it." We're like, "Why not?" And they're like, "They're not going to let you through." "No way. No way." And we're like, "Whatever, man, we're going." So we go up there, we go to the border, and we're trying to get into Canada. And sure enough, we showing them our passports, and like, they're looking in the back seat. They're like, "I'm going to need you to pull over."
You guys look
We
shady to me.
Oh, wait a minute. Where are you guys going? Like, it's cold. There's nothing on this road. What
Why
do you,
aren't you working?
yeah, don't you have jobs?
Yeah,
Really? And I remember you being like, dude, it says Anchorage on my driver's license. I am from Anchorage. I'm just driving there. I bought this car. It's cheaper to ride with a car up there than it is to ship the car and ship all my stuff. And it's a dangerous highway. So my buddy's riding with me so that we're safer. Like, and you're like, "No, you guys are suspicious. Come out of there." So then they're like, "You got okay." Not only does Canada don't like ugly, I guess is what I always say, because they told us not only are you not welcome to come back, if you try to come back, if you so much as have a layover in Canada and we catch you, you guys are going to jail. If you want to visit Canada, you're going to need an immigration attorney. And I remember being like, "What the hell did we do? Like, we didn't have any drugs on us. We didn't have any alcohol in the car. Like, that's probably the cleanest trip we've ever done together." And they were like, "No, you guys aren't welcome." And so
yeah.
turned us
And
around.
I remember I tried to show them my ass because I have a Canadian tattoo. It's my only tattoo on my body, and they're like, "Sir, keep your pants on." I'm like, "Come
Oh
on,
my God.
you guys branded me."
Come on, be a sport. Oh my God. Yeah. So, that's just one of many epic adventures that we've been on. And another thing I'd like to say um, within this first little intro segment is that the Get Busy Livin' name comes from our business connections. We've always, me and you, since pretty much the day we met, we've been like trying to figure out how to make money together, and we came up with the Get Busy Living project was what we called it when I was living in Australia. And we were going to put together curated travel packages because we both love to travel. So we're going to like, okay, let's figure out where we want to go and figure out how to do it. And then we can put together packages and we had a target market, that was a very solid plan. And so when I went into Indonesia and was trying to execute that plan and found out that I could go to jail if the wrong person overhears me talking about it, that kind of put the kibosh on that. And then, you were in Alaska and falling in love and stuff. So we didn't go into business and call it the Get Busy Living Project. And then a year later, I chased the monkey. Oh, don't chase the monkeys. And so thank you, Scott. Thank you, man, for that, bro. I'll never forget seeing you in that hospital. I don't have very much of a memory of that experience at all. I remember the nurses telling me that that I had been brought in by strangers. And them telling me they had my phone and texting Micah in the Bali hospital. And then I remember Micah resuscitating me. I remember her panicking in front of her friends. And then I remember you showing up like 4 days or 3 days, I think, from the time I got injured. And those are the only memories I have. But I'll never forget that, man. I remember you just like give me like grab my hand and like being like, "Dude," and you whisper in my ear, you're like, "Just keep fighting, bro. We're gonna get you out of here. Just keep fighting."
Man, I'll tell you that intro that you played today, with the videos back then, it gave me chills, even almost 7 years later. And Yeah, seeing those videos, you in the halo, and you know, I was going through photos, getting ready for this podcast, and going through old Facebook stuff, and seeing the flight trip up to Malaysia from Bali and stuff. Man, it was bringing back memories. But
Yeah.
I in my head I do hear D-Rex going, "Stay
Move
on
along,
point,
guys.
stay
Move
on
along, guys.
point." We're
So
here to talk about a lot of stuff.
I know,
So
right? Okay. So yeah, let's pick up there. So that was almost 6 years ago. Almost, not quite six
almost
years ago.
7 years ago, wasn't it?
It'll be
2017? No, 6 years ago. I'm sorry.
it'll be 6 years
Yep.
in December,
Yep.
and a lot has happened, man. Give us the quick and dirty about what you've been doing the past 5 years.
Well, I got married 6 years ago in February. Had a first kid in 4.5 years ago. Had a second kid half a year ago. Moved from Hawaii, where I met my wife, up to Alaska. Lived there for a year and a half. Moved into a travel trailer for a year and a half, and lived in California for 8 months, and then moved to Tampa in the travel trailer. Then got back into aviation, which is my career that I quit to go travel in 2013, and moved back to Fort Walton Beach, Destin area, in 2021, and bought a house, and here we are, raising a family, going to work, working for Boeing, kind of back into the real life aspect of things. It's great having the family, the job. I miss being able to be independent and be out on the road with nothing but a backpack on, calling Sweet up, going, "Hey, dude, I need a lift to Atlanta Airport or New Orleans Airport. How many airports did you pick me up and drop me off from? Like,
Lord knows,
yeah.
man. We could probably
So
have a whole
but
podcast just of our adventures.
yeah, I mean, I've been through a lot in the last few years. I know you've been through a lot. So what's kind of the rundown on your life in the last since the accident?
Well, yeah. First, I'm going to say thank you to those of you that showed up. Please take your opportunity now to ask Scott questions. Put them in the comment section and let us know what questions you have about Alaska. We're going to get into how you might be on your way to Alaska if you're lucky and you make good decisions. Thanks, Lori, for showing up and saying hello with us. Big things coming up with Shaefer. B List is in the house. I got Erie, Pennsylvania represented heavily always. And what's up, girl? Who's this stranger? The one and only. You know what? I'm going to take this opportunity while I've got her on the screen to say that I had dibs, swells. I had dibs on the first hot Swedish girl. I'm never going to let you live that down. So no, all bullshit aside though, 5 years, it took 3 years and 12 days to get out of nursing facilities and hospitals, bouncing back and forth. And the medical issues haven't stopped. In fact, I'm supposed to be in the emergency room right now. I got a call from my doctor saying that I have some sort of some bacteria that's some superhuman bacteria that I need to go to the emergency room. But my best friend's wedding is on Saturday. So, well, my best female friend, or one of them. I don't want to diss anybody, but my girl Jay, top notch doll right there. She's getting married on Saturday. So I can't go to the emergency room. So medical issue after medical issue. Took 3 years and 12 days to get out of nursing facilities. I lived in my own apartment in Tempe for a while by myself. And then brother Doug moved out here, and me and him got a house in Gilbert. So me and brother Doug are living together. And I got enough credits to graduate this past April with my second bachelor's degree, this one in nutrition. I was supposed to be working on a master's degree, but because my scholarship was only for a bachelor's, even though I have the master's degree information and homework done, I don't have those credentials. But since my scholarship was so cool, I also was able to afford to add a digital marketing minor that I will complete in December. And then as of next April, I will also add a biochemistry minor to my degree. And so injury, medical, school, and then last summer, I was able to pull it together. I got with some consultants that I was working with all last year, and was able to found a nonprofit which making Help Swede Walk Again, which was originally a Facebook fundraising campaign that saved my life. And I legitimized that title and made it into an official nonprofit. And now my goal is to make that nonprofit help other people the way that you guys all helped me. So although the name of the nonprofit is the Help Swede Walk Again organization, in fact, I'm the only person that has helped so far, but that is about to change. If you guys didn't see it a couple weeks ago, look for the episode with Lori Mezzacapo where we talk about the great news that we recently got about our man Shaefer. Shaefer is our beneficiary here at the Help Swede Walk Again organization. We have basically, you can email us story of your loved ones or yourself. You can nominate yourself if you feel that you are doing everything you can to help yourself, and that that stem cells could possibly be the answer for you. Send us your story. Send it to nominations at hswa.org, and let us just tell us your story. And so we put this word out back in the day, and Lori sent us Shaefer's story, and since then Shaefer is our first beneficiary. So the way that it works is our goal is to help people get access to stem cell therapies. So if you have an ailment that stem cells could be good for you, which is just about everything, quite frankly, then you could be a good candidate for us. So please send us that email to nominations at hswa.org and let us know who you would like for us to help. Right now, it's all about Shaefer. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, we kicked off a fundraising campaign a couple of years ago that originally had to do with helping me. That was pre-COVID. Well, since all these other things have gone on and COVID has happened, and now, to be quite frank, and I hate to say it like this because I don't want people to think that I'm a quitter, because I'm not. But frankly, it's very unlikely that my spinal cord injury is repairable at this juncture so far after injury. And more importantly, I feel as though you get what you get what you give. And so I felt, as well as, and you were the person that I was talking to when this when this decision happened. But we were talking about, the plan to help me, and I just felt like, I should be trying to help others. If I try to help others, I know I will get helped. And so that's where, the idea of turning that Life Yearbook fundraising campaign, and rather than having that something that would be with me as the beneficiary, since we've founded the nonprofit and I'm the founder and I'm a director, I cannot be a beneficiary of the nonprofit. So the Help Swede Walk Again actually is not ever going to help me. How about that? So right now we're working on Shaefer. So what we did with the Life Yearbook auction was, you want to talk about as well as when we were in Malaysia, and we were all talking about coming up with some sort of a product that I could offer in exchange for the donations, because I was really paranoid and uncomfortable receiving donations, but we were in Malaysia and we needed them. And so you and Jerry and Sin were like, what about a book? Do you remember that?
Ah, man, not clearly enough to speak on it. That all that there was so much going on, so much stress, so much everything.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a blur. I do remember that was brought up, but yeah.
Yeah. So we had coffee and we had t-shirts, and Sin, thank you, Sin, much love. She said that she's like, Swede, she's like, since you guys are not, acknowledging that without social media, I'm helping you, and you have a good social media following, and that's probably why you're able to get this type of support. Why don't you put together a collection of the stuff that you've written on social media, and make that an offer? So that's what it is. The Life in a Year of Swedism's book, which we affectionately refer to as the Life Yearbook, was put in the works back then. And so the way that this fundraiser works is that we are accepting donations in exchange for a copy of the Life in a Year of Swedism's book. So what does that mean? If you go to the hswa.org and you look for the Help Shaefer button, click on that button, and it will give you an opportunity to reserve a copy of the Life in a Year of Swedism's book. Once we have 1,000 copies reserved, it's $50 minimum reservation. Once we have 1,000 copies reserved, then that will afford us the ability to send Shaefer and his folks to Panama to get a stem cell treatment to try to help this guy. And the way this dude works, I know that we have a lot to get through, so I didn't upload any Shaefer media, but the way that this dude works, his spirit is just contagious. So We're going to get him to Panama. We're going to get the books shipped to you guys. We're not going to ship the books until we get 1,000 reservations. So please like and share, subscribe to this channel, share these posts, and try to help us get the word out. Because once we get the 1,000 reservations, then we're going to be able to send Shaefer. We're going to get you guys your books. And then that's where the key comes. We're going to pull a name out of the hat. And when we pull the name out of the hat, that's going to, the winner is going to get a conversation with you to talk about what they're going to do when they get to go to Alaska. So the way it works is 1,000 reservations, we pull a name out of the hat, and then we contact that person, say, you're the lucky winner of the Adventurous Alaska Tour, get with Scootie Wells. And so what that means is what they're going to win, for the record, they're going to win an airfare included, all expenses paid. And by all expenses, we mean that your accommodations, your transportation, your itinerary, you're going to get a guided tour by Scott, and 2 seasonal excursions. So the 2 seasonal excursions is what we're going to talk about today. What are the different options? But most significantly, they're going to, once you have the transportation, which we're going to renting overland vehicles. Can't wait to talk about that. And then we're going to have 2 nights in a cabin and 4 nights camping. We can talk about that. The itinerary is going to be dependent upon you. You're going to get with Scott once we find out who the winner is, and you're going to work on your itinerary. Scott's going to guide you in some, and then you're going to have excursions and other, there's going to be other options. So Swells, let's start there with you. With 2 nights in a cabin and 4 nights camping, I know that there are people out there that when they think about Alaska, they think about bears. And so they're going to be like, I ain't camping in Alaska, So like, what can we tell these guys that will give them a little bit of comfort to know that it's okay to camp in Alaska?
All right. Well, it is important to note before I get into that it is a trip for 2. So the winner gets to bring someone else with them. It's not just
My
you
bad.
and, and then me as the guide. You and someone else. And now bears, everybody, whenever I talk about being, and just for the record, I was born and raised in Alaska. My parents were both born and raised in Alaska. I, can talk about Alaska till my face is blue. It's a big passion in my heart. Bears can be scary, right? Especially whenever you're like, oh, I've never been around bears, never really been much of a camping type. If we're camping, there's tents on the ground. The bears can come in and eat me in my sleep. Well, there's a few different tidbits of information that I'm going to pass on to you. And that's, well, we're going to be in overland vehicles with rooftop tents. So yeah, just like that. So they're about 6 feet up. There's bear aware type of activities and type of responsibilities that I'll be in charge of, which is not leaving scent around whenever you cook. You're not going to have the leftover food from dinner sitting around in a garbage can hooked to the side of your truck or even inside your truck. You cook away from where you sleep. You minimize the scent, and that keeps the bears away. Now, bears are really, more scared of you than they are them. Whenever you hear of bear attacks, the majority of them are because it's a sow or a mama with their cubs, and you get in between them, or you get too close. And the second really bad situation to be in with a bear is if the bear has a fresh kill. So if it killed a moose or if it killed a caribou or whatever it has, they're like dogs. They'll half bury it and sit on it. And if anybody comes around, they'll growl and attack. Right. And so the majority of bear attacks that you do hear about, it's one of those 2 situations. It's very rare for a bear to attack a person whenever they're just minding their own business. They're being responsible stewards in the outdoors, and they don't get themselves in a bad situation by not having their head on a swivel.
So have you ever had any close encounters with a bear?
I have. I've had a couple. The one that comes to mind, went in 2013 when I started my travels. I went up to Alaska for 3 weeks before I went international, and started backpacking in Australia. And I was kind of getting my gear going, and I just quit my job. So I was taking my dad's Subaru and did kind of a week-long solo trip around southern Alaska, and brought my fly rod and a tent, and was just no itinerary. I just, hey, that place looks cool to camp out. I feel like driving to that town 3 hours south. Okay. Well, I ended up at a very popular fishing river, and usually there's a lot of people, but there's tons of bears at this place. And the bears down there, whenever the salmon are running, they don't care about people.
Because we
They
taste
have
like
salmon on their
garbage.
mind. They're full. They have full billies, and it can be a kind of nerve wracking experience because if they don't care about you, they're not going to keep their space. So it was midnight. I was fly fishing on the river, and there was nobody else fishing at that point. And granted, it's Alaska in June, early July, so it's still light out. It's kind of dusk, and I see a brown bear, and he's just kind of tramping around on the other side of the river. And the river was knee deep, so basically, there's no water in between him and I because he can
Wait,
run
so
through that like he can run on land. What's that?
is that a brown bear? Is that kind of grizzly bear? I
So
thought they were all grizzly bears.
So a grizzly bear is a brown bear, but a brown bear is not necessarily a grizzly bear. Now, grizzly is not a scientifically recognized term. A grizzly bear is known as an inland brown bear, and their temperament is different because they're animals of opportunity. They they don't eat clams and salmon and all the lush food that's on the coast, and those are coastal brown bears. So I was more on the coast. So these bears were coastal brown bears. If you go up to Denali National Park, very middle of Alaska, those bears you see there, those are grizzly bears, and they have a different temperament. I keep my head on a swivel, kind of a different way whenever I'm inland, just because you don't want to get around a hungry brown bear if he hasn't been able to get a kill in a while. You're like, okay, I know these coastal brown bears, which get bigger than the grizzly bears, but they have plenty of food. They're not trying to. And also, a little interesting side note fact: brown bears don't. I don't know how this sounds bad, but brown bears don't eat you, like, pretty much. Like they'll, like I said, kind of half bury you and guard you like a bone, like a dog does a bone. Black bears, on the other hand, which we have a lot of black bears, if they attack and will start eating. Now, I don't want to deter anybody from that because I'm going to make sure that we don't get ourselves in a bad situation. But that's
That's why
something that people bring up to me a lot.
And that's why it's so key for you guys to know that this is not just, you're not just winning a trip, you're winning a guided tour with a person that knows Alaska. Bro, your nickname is the Wolf, and I know it's because of what you do to beers, but I also know it's because you know how to survive in the wilderness. So you're not just going to Alaska and like checking it out from a distance. You're going to be getting all of the ins and outs of Alaska from a man that knows it like the back of his hand. So
Yep.
like that's important. So yes, there are bears, but no, you're not going to be in danger because my man's got your back. So I like that.
Yeah. So now back to the story of my close encounter with the bear. So
Yeah.
I'm looking at this bear going, he's maybe 50 feet from me, and I got my fly rod out, my line out, and I pick up my phone and I start going to take a photo, and I see in my phone that he's walking straight towards me in the river. So I'm like, oh crap, like I got a gun on me just in case. But I put my phone down, I start reeling my rod in, and I have two options: either I can make myself announced and yell, "Hey bear," da, 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 and he'll run away, or you just get out of his way, because I knew what he was doing. He was just following the path that he does all the time. So
Yeah.
I backed up out of the river up to the trail, see if he was going to go down the river or across. He was coming across, so he got on the trail. I went down the trail. He came down the trail. I went down the trail a little more. He was still going down the trail. So then I went up the hill above the
Dude,
trail,
you gotta be
and he
shitting
went
yourself.
underneath me on the trail. And so
Oh.
I was sitting up on the hill watching him walk down there, and I'm like, okay, fishing's done for the night. I'm going to go to bed.
That's so funny. So speaking of fishing, like, okay, so I have mentioned in the past that it's you can do whatever you want. Okay, disclaimer: whatever I've said prior to this podcast is a no go, because obviously I was out of line when I said that you could do whatever you want, because you were just saying that okay, so we can fish, right? You can be able to take them fishing. So let's talk about the different types of things that the options that they will have. Swells. What options will our winners have? They can't hunt, but they can fish. Yeah.
Yeah, so I can't do hunting. You have to be a registered guide. It's a career choice that guides have up there. But I can definitely take you fishing. So there's, I've grown up fishing salmon up there my entire life. Like you said at the beginning, there's, two big excursions that you can choose from. And one of the options would be deep sea fishing for halibut, Pacific cod, rockfish, going salmon fishing. So this is my wife, Louise, and we're in Hope, Alaska. And in late July, I believe it is mid to late July, the pink salmon run up this river so thick you can walk across them. And so she's on the fly rod, bringing in a pink salmon there, and the limit's 6, but you end up catching the 6 in 20 minutes. So you're like, okay, just keep throwing them back and just keep fishing more. It's a beautiful setting, as you can see. It's on this outside this little historic gold mining town of Hope that is kind of all on its lonesome right outside Turning an Arm, big body of seawater there. And it's just a very, very, very special place. When you go there, you remember it. It's not one of those places like, I remember some about there's this one place. You remember Hope whenever you go there. So yeah, here she is.
See, I love this because, well, first of all, Louise is no slouch. So just because she can do it doesn't mean everybody can do it. But it's pretty cool. That's got to give you some confidence to know, for the ladies out there that are considering reserving a copy of the book, and they're like, well, I don't know if I want to go to Alaska because of the bears, and I'm not good at fishing. You've helped Louise fish, and like you said, it's easy, right? Like, so
Right?
you just cast and pull,
Yeah.
depending on what time of year, though, right?
So I went there another trip, I think the year after this, with Louise's mom from Sweden and her mom's boyfriend, rest his soul. He's passed on now. But they are not fishermen. They're, but they had a blast, and they both caught their limit and in no time at all. And I have other videos of teaching her mom how to cast, and then whenever she's catching the fish, and her mom's boyfriend as well. And that was one of their favorite trips they said they've ever been on. And you can look in the water and just see hundreds of salmon in front of you. There she is. Man, am I lucky or what? I married that.
Yeah, you owe me one. Anyway, anyway, so yeah, that's very comforting, for anyone that would be worried about that you're going to be able to help them, and that's that's what makes me so excited about this, man, is that, I mean, I was just talking this past weekend. I went to Los Angeles this past weekend, which, by the way, marks my 14th month in a row on at least one epic adventure every single month. The Get Busy Living Project 55, 14 down, 41 to go. But I was just in LA, and I was, I met a stranger, and they were asking me about my life, and like, what are you doing and stuff. And people ask me what I'm doing for a living. And, I've got 2 college degrees. I've got enough experience to I can sell fire in hell. There's pretty much no sales job I cannot get. And I'm not spending my time pursuing those things. I'm not spending time pursuing building my own wealth as much as I am spending my time dedicating my life to being able to give back, for the fact that, I wouldn't have this life if it wasn't for you, Swells, and for all the others that chipped in back in that day. So that's what makes me so proud about what this project is, because, I mean, I don't care about people having a book of mine. You can read everything that's in the book online if you want to. It's all put together nicely and it's cool, but it's not about a book. I'm not trying to get word about me out there. The book is just something to give you in exchange for you helping me help Shaefer. And then for those of you that aren't interested in reading but want to help Shaefer, you can possibly win an epic adventure. And what makes me so excited about this is that not only are people going to be getting a book, great. Not only is Shaefer going to go to Panama, awesome, but then I'm going to be able to have somebody be able to tell an epic adventure story about the time they went to Alaska with my top dog. Like, it warms me up, man. It warms me up. So not only fishing, but like, okay, so I mentioned earlier, one of the first things I think of when I think of Alaska is the Northern Lights. So let's talk about, Swells, about the options that they're going to have, because whoever wins, them +1, airfare included from anywhere in the U.S. Okay, I'm not flying you from Bali. So my Bali folks, I love you. Actually, I might. If you win, we'll talk, but that's not a guarantee. But point is that, so once we select the winners and we notify them, then I'm just plug them in with you, and then they're going to start talking about going. So the things that are important is either they want to choose when they're going to go according to what excursions they want to do, or they're going to choose what excursions they want to do according to when they're able to go. Right. So like
Yeah.
for the
So
Northern Lights, like that's the first thing I think of when I think of
yeah.
Alaska. Let's talk about that. Suppose I'm the winner and I wanted to see the Northern Lights. How would that work?
So basically, what's going to happen whenever the winner is chosen, they pick whoever they're going to pick to go. Then I'm going to have multiple phone calls with them, and we're going to nail down the itinerary of what you want to do. Now, I'm going to keep it adventurous. It's not going to be a 5-star hotel stay. It's not going to be, this isn't a ranch in Montana where everything's catered to you. It's Alaska. It's wild. That you're going to get the Alaskan experience. Now, saying
Hell
that,
yeah.
and with my background and all that, I'm, don't be turned off by the fact that you think that it's going to be over your abilities if you're not big into the outdoors, big into adventure. I've worked tourism in Alaska for quite a few years, and I know how to tailor the trip to what you want. Now, with that being said, time of year, that's going to dictate a lot. So, do you want to go in the wintertime to see the snow? Eh, maybe. I don't know. I hope you choose the summer. But if you wanted the winter, I'll go up there in the wintertime. Uh, as far as the Northern Lights, it's light in the summertime. The Northern Lights come out and you start seeing them beginning September. I've seen them in August, but I wouldn't plan a trip if your goal is to see the Northern Lights in August. I would think the first, second week in September is a pretty kind of the beginning of when it's dark and you start seeing the Northern Lights up in the sky at night. And by the way, the second week in September is my favorite time of the year up there. Everything's less tourists up there at the time. It's fall. We have really underrated falls, autumns. Trees all change colors. It's really beautiful. But the further north you get, further towards the North Pole, you get anywhere on the globe, the more chance and more vibrant northern lights you're going to get. Now, that being said, I'm from South Central Alaska near Anchorage. We see northern lights all the time there. I
Oh
used to
yeah.
work at Blockbuster in high school, and closing it at midnight and driving home at 1, I saw them every night. It was clear. Like whenever they're out, I was driving home 30 minutes, looking out the window of just a light show dancing above me. I've seen them hundreds of times, and it never gets old. It's
I was
magical.
about
It's
to say.
amazing. If you haven't seen them, that's definitely something that you can put on your list. But it dictates of what you want to do at that time. Whenever they're going on, the fishing's not the greatest. So if you want to go up to see salmon, to experience salmon fishing, if you want to go experience, warmer weather, in the 70s and 80s versus 60s, 50s at night, maybe you want to go more June, July.
Hmm. So with if we were talk about the seasons in Alaska first of all. I get the impression that there's only a couple, but are there all four
There,
seasons up there?
there's 4, I guess. I mean, there's 2 main ones. You could
Summer and
name
winter,
those. Our
or
our
winter and
spring is
fall.
called breakup season because it's not when you break up with the girl in order for the summer to start. It's whenever the snow breaks up and everything is muddy, and
uh,
it's my least favorite season up there. So I would urge you not to go up in April.
uh,
Even May can be kind of dicey with the breakup season if it's a late winter. My favorite month is June, July, and then, like I said, the second week in September. June is usually the best weather. We don't get much rain in June. July, the fishing is the best. The salmon are running like crazy. Sockeye salmon are running big. There's not many places where you can catch king salmon anymore up there, but silver or coho salmon you can catch in late July, early August. Pink salmon is late July into August, and but the my favorite salmon to catch to eat is the sockeye, the red salmon, Pacific red salmon. There's no better salmon in the world you can get, and the limit in a lot of places is 6 salmon a day per person. Other places is 3 salmon a day, but that's still plenty of salmon. And whenever the red salmon run, it is phenomenal. you can't keep them off your line a lot of times. And beautiful rivers you fish them out of.
No doubt. Yeah, that's definitely near the top of everyone's Alaska list. When you think of Alaska, you think of salmon. But there's other things like, like, so if they wanted to go to the like you just mentioned, you were a tour guide on the train. So like if they wanted to go to the Arctic Circle, would you ride the train to the Arctic Circle or would you drive? Like, tell me about that.
So the train, I definitely would recommend taking the train. And we can go up and spend a night or two up in the towns that the train goes through. They goes through Denali National Park, which a lot of people are familiar with, but it stops as far north as it goes as far north as Fairbanks, which is quite a bit of distance south from the Arctic Circle. So if you want to go to the Arctic Circle, and that's a goal of yours, we would do that in the overland vehicles. So as far as Denali National Park, I did this epic backpacking trip solo into Denali National Park, and so they have this really cool bus system. It's a hop on, hop off. It's not like a national park you've ever been to. There's no private vehicles allowed past 14 miles on the road of the 90-mile road into Denali National Park.
Wow.
You can only take buses. And they have tourist buses, and then they have kind of backpacker buses. Backpacker buses, you can hop on, hop off anywhere you want. So that is Denali there, the largest peak. That's the largest
Wow.
mountain in North America. 20,310 feet. And it is the largest mountain in the world above sea level from base to peak, because the base starts around 200 feet or so, and like Everest starts what's Everest base at? It's like 15,000
Yeah,
or
yeah,
12,000,
yeah.
something like
Up
that.
there. Yeah, yeah.
So Denali is a epic mountain, very very beautiful park, and it's just, you see this, there's no one out there. So I got dropped off by a bus with my backpack on, and you can't carry a firearm into Denali National Park, so I had bear spray with me, and I just ventured off into the brush. And I had a topography map with me, so I was like, okay, I'm going to go over this mountain, go across this valley, and I'll find a place to camp across this river and then up this mountain. And I ended up finding that spot where I was cooking dinner, and my tent was maybe 300 yards away from me, up on this little razor ridge, which sounded like a great idea until the wind started kicking up at night, and it was like 60-degree hills, a mountainside on three sides of me, and I thought my tent was going to get blown off the mountain. I didn't sleep at all that night, but I
Oh,
did
no
see the
shit.
northern lights for the first time that summer, that night, because I was up. I looked up. I was like, oh, they're faint, but I saw them. And that trip, being able to be there and being alone in nature, it was, and so far removed, so far into the wilderness, it was a feeling that I go back to. Yeah, so it's Beegerman. Yeah, solo. Yes, I went in alone. I think it's a completely different experience than going with one person or group. The solo aspect, I'm a big fan of international backpack solo, and I usually don't do wilderness trips solo, but I did this one, and it was probably the most memorable, most adventurous, not memorable, but adventurous trip I've done, just because it was so far into the wilderness. I mean, the next person to me was probably 20 miles away.
Wow. Are you there?
So, and with that, so I was when I left the road, there was shrubs that I'm going through that are above my head, and there's a lot of grizzly bears, a lot of grizzly bears in Denali National Park. They're everywhere. And so I'm going through and I'm yelling and talking and singing so that they know that I'm there, so they're not going to be surprised by me. And I get to an opening, and it's like fresh bed where the grizzly slept. Like that's his home, and I'm standing right in it with no gun, just
Oh,
bear
Jesus.
spray. And I'm like, hey, I'm home at your home, like, please be cool. And then I step out, and there's a gigantic blueberry patch. I'm like, okay, that's why he sleeps there, because he eats the blueberries in the daytime. So I picked some blueberries, was looking out for him. I didn't see bears that night. I saw them the next day whenever I walked out. And but I saw wolf prints that I was following along a river, and they were following caribou tracks. So it was cool to see caribou tracks and then wolf prints following them up. So
That's cool.
pretty cool adventure for sure.
Hell yeah. And so, what about the time that you actually went to the Arctic Circle?
So that is the most memorable trip that I've been on, and that was for Louise's birthday. Usually for her birthday, whenever we were up there, I was working on the train, working 3 to 4 days a week, and I'd have 3 or 4 day weekends every weekend. So I'd get home. This is pre-kids, so I'd get home from work, 3 or 4 days off. Let's pack we have a big Suburban up there, 94 diesel Suburban. So we put a full size air mattress in the back of it, load up all of our gear, and we usually, almost every time we go on camping adventures, we go north, south, east, like which way do we want to go? And so that time we chose, let's go northeast. So we got on the road and we ended up stopping at Lake Louise the first night. Louise's birthday, got to stop at Lake Louise. Absolutely beautiful place. You got the picture of yeah, there we go. So the ones before this. Yeah, so this was our camping spot the first night, and Lake Louise is a gigantic lake. Of course, this isn't Lake Louise. It's just the creek coming out of Lake Louise. But this is where we camped at. So we went to this beautiful Alaskan rugged lodge with goat, moose, fish, bear, hangings, like taxidermy all over, and like getting some drinks there, looking out over the beautiful Lake Louise area. And and then I talked to the bartender. He was a cool dude, and I was like, "Hey man, we want to, you got any cool like hidden spots to go camping?" He's like, "Yeah, just keep going down this road. It'll eventually peter out into this river, and yeah, it's pretty secluded back there." So we did, and this is a road people live, like there's houses past this, like the road goes into the river and then crosses the river, and then the road picks back up and there's a few cabins. So people that have their cabins back there, they just drive through the river. Well, we didn't. We just camped there, did some fishing, relaxed. I mean, that kind of view you can set at and just not even talk. It does all the talking for you.
Yeah, this is so beautiful up there,
Yeah,
man.
and that's another point of view from there. So then we continued, and we eventually made our way up to the Arctic Circle. But on the way, so from Lake Louise, you have to drive east an hour, and then you hit the highway going north. And the highway going north goes all the way up to Fairbanks, which is right smack dab in the middle of the state. And then you get on the Dalton Highway, which is the truckers. Like you've heard of ice road truckers. That's the highway the ice road truckers show is like about. So it's these semis that all they do, the semi drivers, they go from point A to point B, back to point A to point B, and they have that road. And it's, I don't know, I don't want to misquote how long it is, but it's super long. It's like driving from Florida to North Carolina. It's
and
it's
they just do it
12
back and forth.
hours, 14 hours. I don't know.
Wow.
It's long. So, but the Arctic Circle is, maybe a little less than halfway up on it, maybe 5 hours from Fairbanks. Well, we were driving before we got to Fairbanks. We're driving my 94 Suburban diesel. It's a tank. It's heavy. And we're going, up on these mountain passes and these turns. And we have exposure a few hundred feet down, ravines on the left-hand side of us. And we're downhill and all that. And then we get into the city of Fairbanks and we get to the biggest stoplight intersection in the city of Fairbanks. And I go to put on my brakes, just like, you're slowing down. It's a red light. There's 4 lanes on my side with a median. And my foot goes straight to the floor. No PSI.
What?
No pressure at all. I had a leak in one of my brake lines.
On the dangerous highway.
No, if it happened on the dangerous highway, it would have been a different thing. We were in the middle of Fairbanks going up to the intersection. So I've got cars stopped in front of me and I'm, not going too slow. So I put the Suburban up on the median, boom, boom, big bump onto the medium. So people gave us space. And then I brought it back on the road, pulled the e-brake, And then we ended up, there's a gas station next there. So we just kind of pulled it into the gas station. There's an AutoZone a quarter mile away. I walked down, got all the parts I needed. I didn't know what the issue was. I didn't know if I had a leak, what was going on. But I suspected I did. So I took the tires off, bled the brakes, inspected all the brake components, filled up the fluid, the brake fluid back up. So we had pressure. And it's like 5, 6 o'clock in the evening at this point. It's raining the entire time I'm doing it. I'm doing this outside in the rain. And I'm like, so Louise is, she's helping me out. And we're like, I'm trying not to be like angry. I'm trying to still be like positive. And she's keeping me positive. And I'm like, well, babe, you just want to like find a camping spot around here. And she goes, no, we're done. This fixed. Let's go north. So we get
Hell
on, we leave
yeah.
Fairbanks, get on the Dalton. Yeah, there's the map. So go back down to where you see Fairbanks. Fairbanks, yep, there it is. So we go up and we make it 90 miles south of the Arctic Circle that night until we have clouds that came down on us. And like I said, the truckers come down there and they know that road, they go fast on it. I got to in the clouds to where I couldn't see the road, and I saw the yellow line going perpendicular to the vehicle. Had to swerve, get back on the
What?
road, and then the clouds lifted a little bit, and I saw that the road widened out, so we just pulled in. I didn't know where we were. I didn't know if we were like on private property, if what it was, So then we slept there. In the morning, Louise was still sleeping in the back of the Suburban on the air mattress. I got in the driver's seat, drove the 90 miles first thing in the morning up to the Arctic Circle, and then that's where that photo comes into play. Us at the Arctic Circle. There it is. There it is with our dog Chili. So that's us first thing in the morning. Whenever she crawled out of bed. Whenever we arrived at the Arctic Circle, I'm like, babe, we're here. We crossed over the Yukon River. I mean, it's like such a cool area. And there's nothing there. There's no town, but there's a little picnic area with picnic tables and some little charcoal grills. And so we went over there and I cooked breakfast and eggs and bacon for breakfast. And they had low bush cranberries, which Louise, for you who don't know, she's from Sweden. And low bush cranberries are called lingonberries in
Lingonberries.
Sweden. And they're really prized and looked after. They pick them and make jams out of them and can them, all that. So she's picking lingonberries. I'm cooking eggs and bacon. And you can put that picture on. I think it's the next one.
Oh, of the cooking.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah. So that's us at the Arctic Circle. All those low shrubs around there, those are low bush cranberries. You find blueberries scattered all over the state. You find wild raspberries. I mean, there's so much foraging you can do to where you go out and it's like watermelon berries, which no one has heard of if they don't live in Alaska, and they
No.
pop in your mouth, this big juice. It's not very flavorful, but it's a little bit sweet. I love watermelon berries. There's also salmon berries, which look like salmon eggs, and they're orange and they're delicious.
Oh yeah.
And so
Check
you
this
go
out.
out and you just kind of, oh, these are in season. Sweet, I found some bushes. Huckleberries as well. I think there's big. They look like big blueberries. So that that
Speaking
that
of
that was the most memorable trip.
speaking of
Uh,
finding bushes, look who's chiming in.
these nuts.
And
Oh,
Louise is over here blushing. Darren's
and
like, "That's
and
awesome."
and I gotta say what's up to Fionn. You might not
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
Fionn.
No, I saw her. I wanted to bring it up, but I didn't get into it. Hello, Fionn. Thanks for chiming in. Yes.
Do, do,
So
do you remember
refresh.
Fionn?
Vaguely, I know that she was a key member, or she was around in Malaysia. Yeah.
She was the patient advocate at
Yeah.
the hospital in Malaysia that we got into. And
That's
man,
right.
she was good at her job. She is such a nice lady. I went out and had lunch with her husband and her little girl, and she helped me out to get acquainted with where I was going to stay, with what the area had to offer, with what the hospital had to offer, with anything that I needed above what her job was. She was there, and I can't thank you enough, Fiona. Every time I see your name come up, it just gives a lot of warmth in my heart, and I hope you're
Hell yeah.
doing very well. It's been 6 years, but I hope you and your beautiful family are doing doing fantastic.
Oh yeah, thanks for chiming in, Fiona. And I think Beecher Man was talking about. He was asking if you done that solo when you were showing the Denali trip. So yeah, you went up there by
Yeah,
yourself. You just did the hop off,
yeah,
right? Yeah, that's what
yeah.
I thought. So, and that's when Corvette chimed in and was like saying how badass that is. And then Beecher Man again asked about showing the map, so that's why I put that up there. But guys, if you have any questions about what this adventurous Alaska guided tour could be like, if you have anything you want to know specifically, now's your chance. Chime in the comments. But what I got here, Swells, is a couple of things I wanted to ask you about. Was you sent me a lot of really amazing pictures, and it just I want to be in Alaska so bad. Seriously, having you and Jerry, another one of my top dogs, have so much footage of Alaska and so many awesome experiences. I mean, really, I know that I'm not going to be going on this trip unless it takes us too long. But I look forward to the day that I'm able to get up there. And this is one of the things that I think of when I think about Alaska is being able to fly around the Denali National Park. So that is one of the options if you are one of the lucky winners. So go to the HSWA, hit the Help Shaefer button, reserve your copy of the Life Yearbook, and enter. That'll get you entered to win the raffle. We need 1,000 reservations in order to be able to pull off affording the treatment and shipping the books and sending you guys on the most epic adventure of your life. So again, the hswa.org, THEHSWA.org. Look for the Help Shaefer button. $50 or more gets your copy reserved, gets you entered to win the raffle, and it gets us one step closer to getting Shaefer down to Panama for those stem cell treatments. So, Swells, tell me about this. What would this kind of tour be
Okay,
like?
so one thing we do need to touch before the show's over is the excursions.
Yeah.
So there's so many big time epic excursions that you can choose from. This one is landing on the glacier at what, a quarter of the way up, halfway up. I don't remember the elevation of what this glacier is, but Jerry's done this where you land a plane on the glacier of Denali. So you're on the Alaska range just next to Denali, which, like I said, so I say Denali, it's not Denali Mountain or Mount Denali. People say Mount Denali. I call it Denali. It means the great one in Athabaskan. People know it as Mount McKinley.
Whoa,
Um,
Athabaskan, you're not allowed to cuss on YouTube.
This is one of the most epic trips you can do in Alaska is going through K2 Aviation and landing, doing a glacier landing. You get to go out, be on the snow on the glacier. They fly you around the peak. Like I said, it's 20,310 feet from sea level is where the peak's at, highest mountain in North America, and it's just this big granite rock. And it's so the Alaska range is it's this gigantic mountain range that kind of is shaped like a U, and right in the middle of the U is where Denali is, and that's because the Denali Fault is right along the Alaska range as a fault line, and they get they've had some earthquakes way long in the past out there that have created a lot of turbulence in the mountains and stuff, but those mountains have been pushed up together and at the crevice of the or at the very end of the U is where Denali is. So yeah, you can see the White Cap Mountains kind of in the middle of the state there. That's the Alaska range, and the big one kind of to the right there, that is where Denali, 4 Acre, Hunter, those are all gigantic mountains, and everything's pushed up, and those mountains are made of granite. So
Just one huge.
it's the most impressive mountain you can see.
This is potentially the greatest experience of your life. Beecherman wants to know, even if I don't win, can we join the expedition? Have you crossed the
Well,
Arctic Circle in
hey,
Lapland as your wife Swedish or in the plans? I'm not sure what he means by that.
oh yeah, no, yeah, I own Adventurous Alaska. I'm not operating anything right now, but I plan to maybe do 1 or 2 trips a year in the future, guided kind of adventure trips. So you can go to Adventurous Alaska Instagram, Adventurous Alaska Facebook. I'm living in Florida right now, so I'm not updating those much, but I do keep those keep a look at the messages I get there. And whenever I do start operating some guided trips, I'll definitely put that information on those social media outlets. And I have not crossed. I've been to Sweden twice. We've been married 5 years. She's from Gothenburg, or just outside Gothenburg. and our brother-in-law, her sister's husband, he's from way north of the Arctic Circle up in Sweden. So they've been, my wife's been up there quite a few times. The rest of her family has. I want to, haven't been there yet, but I look forward to going to Lapland, look forward to going and seeing the northern part of Finland, Sweden, and Norway up in that region. So, so to answer your question, it's in the plans, definitely in the plans. And this is my
Oh yeah.
Instagram from
Oh yeah.
Adventurous Alaska.
Great question, Benjamin. So the reason that I wanted to end with that picture of the plane is, to me, Alaska is like the big New Zealand, but as far as like a wide open, just huge. When I think epic, I think larger than life. And to me, that is what Alaska is, more than anywhere else on the planet. And I've been to Australia, and the highest peak in Australia you can jump off of. There's nothing epic about it. I love Australia, love it, but not that much. Alaska to me is the most epic adventure, and so it just makes perfect sense that for the winner of our raffle to be able to go do that, because with the Get Busy Living Project 55, we're trying to do one epic adventure every single month, but none of those adventures are going to be as epic as the one you guys are going to go on if you get a chance to go to Alaska. So if you want to get a feel for what Scootie Wells is about and how well he knows Alaska, go check out Adventurous Alaska's Instagram. If you want to get a chance to enter the raffle, go to hswa.org and hit that Help Shaefer button. Reserve a copy of the book. $50 or more gets you a reservation. By all means, you're welcome to add more. This nonprofit stuff ain't free. It's a business and it has business expenses, and there are no revenues other than that. So by all means, feel free to help me out like that, guys. Listen, Scootie Wells, man, as far as epic goes, I've made a lot of friends, and I'm not going to say anything bad about anybody else, man, but what you done for me was the most epic thing anybody could ever do for anybody. So, man, so much love for you, brother. So much love for you. If you want to give a shout out to any of these guys in the comments before we wind it off, I want to say thanks again to Benjamin and Corvette, D's Nuts showing up, and Louise. We got to get you on the show one of these days, girl. Scootie Wells, what's up?
Yeah, man. I think we touched base with all the comments that I saw come through. There's so much more to talk about as far as Alaska goes, and maybe in the near future I can get back on and we can kind of go through a lot of this stuff again and even touch on stuff that we didn't, because Alaska, like you said, is such a large state. It's over twice the size of Texas. There's 700,000 and some change people that live there, and the majority of everybody lives south central, kind of in the same few towns. So once you get outside of those towns, man, it's you, nature, and the animals and the beautiful scenery that is literally all around you, from mountain range to mountain range, from waterfalls and glaciers that are easily accessible right off the highway. Some of them you just pull off on a road and drive down, and we can go walk on this glacier. Cool. There's so much cool stuff to do up there, and
so much.
that's why Alaska is always going to be big in my heart, and I'm going to have a passion for it till I die.
We barely talked about snow. We didn't talk about the dog sledding. We didn't talk about, whale watching. So yeah, there's definitely
ATV
going to be.
tours.
I know there's definitely going to be another Adventures Alaska episode of the Get Busy Living Project. But for those of you that tuned into this one, we appreciate you. Please do subscribe to the channel. Please like this video. If you like what we're doing here, please feel free to share with your people. We're doing this for you. We're trying to help others. So help us by going to the hswa.org, doing your duties there. Like, subscribe, and Swells, can't wait to get you back on, brother.
Hey,
can't wait to get you back on.
Go out and put your $50 in to get that book and get entered into this drawing, because I can't wait for this trip. As soon as all those 1,000 books are sold, are reserved, then it's on. Then it's time to pull a name out of the hat, and then it's time to start planning a trip. And I'm going to get extremely excited about that. So let's make it happen.
Yes, absolutely.
And you help out Shaefer, which is the biggest deal of all of it.
Hell yeah! Thanks for showing up, Melissa. By all means, y'all, we're not doing anything until we have 1,000 reservations. So if you have a copy reserved and you want to get that copy, please help us by sharing this. This stuff is set up for a reason. There's a method behind our madness, and we just need your help. And just always remember, We're all in this together. Always remember, no matter the weather, whether sunshine or rain, there's no joy without pain. Always remember, we're all in this together. Can I get a hell yeah?
Hell yeah.
My dog. All right. Until next week, we'll see you guys then. Welcome back on Thursdays at 9 o'clock to the Get Busy Living podcast. Hell yeah.
But you gotta believe me, ain't nothing coming